It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of June 19th, 1998. We got 5 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is The X-Files: Fight the Future.
For years, the world has seen reality distorted, facts manipulated, and truth hidden. But there's even more to the story than anyone has ever suspected, because no one has been able to see the whole picture. Until now.
Mulder?
Cherish the past. Enjoy the present. Because the truth is coming.
So I saw that trailer for the first time watching the Home Alone 3 VHS when I was little. I'd not even heard of the X-Files at that point. I knew later on down the road that it eventually was a TV series, because when I watched The Simpsons on Fox, it would always have a promo for it, because of course the X-Files came on an hour after The Simpsons. Truth be told, I've actually not seen the entire series. I've seen a couple of one-off episodes here and there. I think the one that sticks out to me personally, was the one where they did like a cops crossover with Mulder and Scully on there. There was that one. There's been a couple of other really good episodes. Really, I didn't really get fully invested in the show. It's something I've been wanting to get into, honestly, because I do like David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson playing these characters, and I do like the chemistry they have in this show from the few episodes that I saw. So I will say that watching the movie, I think this is a movie that you really need to see the TV series to really get the full enjoyment factor out of it. I know that's what I felt when I saw this movie. This basically takes place between the season finale for season 5 and then the season 6 premiere, which I could be wrong on this, but I think season 5 was intended to be the last season of the show. Like I said, I could be completely wrong on that front, and that's why this movie came to be. But again, I'm not saying that as if I know for sure. I think that was what I heard, but you basically have a story here that's based on the series' extraterrestrial mythology. You have Mulder and Scully back to from their usual jobs on the X-Files. They're out of that and investigating the bombing of a building and the destruction of criminal evidence, and they uncover what appears to be a government conspiracy attempting to hide the truth about an alien colonization of Earth. And the interesting thing about this is that they started writing this back in 1996, and they actually filmed this in 97 after the end of the 4th season. So you had to do a full 5th season of the show before you could actually get to the story for this. And I think that's a very interesting thing of what they were able to do here, to figure out, like, you still haven't done this. They still haven't filmed the 5th season up to that point, and so you have this happening after the 5th season. So I'm kind of curious of how that actually transpired there, which they probably had it mapped out pretty much in 96 when they started writing it. And like I said, I think it's better represented if you've seen the TV show, because there's a lot of elements in here that a newcomer may not be fully invested in what right away. But from the little bit of the show that I've seen, I was able to follow it pretty well. And I do like how in the beginning we actually get to see Mulder and Scully not dealing with the world of the X-Files. They actually doing what FBI agents do. They investigate a bomb threat. And there's this whole tension-filled scene where they're trying to get everybody out of there. And there's actually some really good acting and some really good effects used in terms of the action sequences. The movie as a whole is pretty well done. And I think that even for somebody like me who didn't come into this movie knowing too much about what had happened through the other episodes of the show, I've still found a way to actually get a lot of real investment out of it. I think there's a lot of good acting overall from Duchovny and Anderson. They bring in people like Owen Marlowe-Stoll. They have Mitch Pileggi back as the Smoking Man, as well as John Neville and William B. Davis as Walter Skinner and the Well-Manicured Man. They even bring in veterans like Martin Landau, Blythe Danner. They do bring in some pretty good talent in this movie overall, and again, this is coming from somebody who has never seen the entire X-Files TV series as a whole, so like I said, I think if I seen the series all the way through up to this point, I think I'd have more of an appreciation towards the film. But as far as it goes, I think it's perfectly fine for what it is. I think for a relative newcomer, they might get a little bit confused at first, but I think once the story gets going and you actually figure out what these guys do and what the is, I think they do. I think it would work pretty well overall. But like I said, I think it's much better if you have a full understanding of the TV series itself. You should watch the TV series as a whole, which I still have yet to do. I've just been too busy to get to the actual TV series as a whole. So one day I will get to do that, because I do want to check the show out. I mean, I've seen more than enough episodes that makes me want to watch the show on a regular bit. Is from the very beginning to when it ended. But like I said, I think this is better represented for the people who have been longtime fans of the show. But for newcomers, it's not a bad way to get introduced to the show, I think. But like I said, it's probably better if you've been watching it from the very beginning to really get a full understanding of what's going on. But for me, someone that's coming into the show relatively new, I thought it worked just fine for what it was. So yeah, like I said, it's a show I've been wanting to get into for a long time now, but I just have not had the time to do. But I'm glad I saw the movie, though. So that's the X-Files. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Disney's latest animated film, Mulan.
About you, Mulan. You took your father's armor, ran away from home, impersonated a soldier, endangered the lives of thousands of men, and destroyed my palace. Soon the world will know the great things you have done. The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter.
So this is a story that you pretty much already know about if you've seen this movie already. It takes place during the Han Dynasty, where you have Fa Mulan, played by Ming-Na Wen, a daughter of this aged warrior who impersonates a man to take her father's place during a general conscription to counter a Hun invasion. And this was actually one of the 3 films that were produced primarily at the Disney Studios in Florida instead of in Hollywood, at the Disney MGM Studios when they still had the animation studio there. And honestly, Mulan, I think, was just what Disney needed up to that point. The last couple movies they had done had become a little bit too generic, stuff like Pocahontas, Hercules. Hunchback of Notre Dame was a nice step in the right direction, but this one was a definite welcoming change of pace for the studio, mostly because of what they were able to do with the main character. And this year, they don't really go for the typical princess route with Mulan. They give her the personality of a typical male Disney action hero, but give it to a female. And you have to give them credit for doing so in the way that they did here, paying homage to the legend that they were basing this off. And Ming-Na is, I think, perfectly casted as Mulan. She's got this great voice that can allow her to not just play a woman, but also the male she's trying to come off as. And you have a really good cast involved here as well. B.D. Wong, of course, Eddie Murphy as Mushu, Harvey Fierstein, Getty Watanabe, James Hong, Pat Morita, George Takei. This is a really good, strong cast that just works as well as it should. The music is also very well done here. The score is done by Jerry Goldsmith, the late Jerry Goldsmith, and he does a great job giving the music for this, the epicness that it needs, and the songs are really good too. Of course, everyone knows that I'll Make a Man Out of You is probably the best song featured in the entire movie. And on that subject, the animation overall is just downright incredible. That mountain action sequence, it's one of the best animated sequences Disney had done up to that point. It's just one of the many animated highlights this film has to offer. Now, there are a couple flaws to the movie. The story structure itself is a little too generic, and you know good and damn well they got to do the lie reveal cliche, and it's just as annoying here as it usually ends up being with movies using this cliche format, but probably the biggest flaw of the film is the main villain, who's voiced by Miguel Ferrero. Um, the dude was generic and boring as hell. I mean, it's a shame because this guy is a really damn good actor. He's got the perfect voice to be the bad guy here, but this is just the most generic, most bland, most poorly drawn bad guy Disney's ever done. I mean, even his facial structure is off big time. They switched the way the eyes look on him just to make him more of a threat, to completely make him his generic plan, too. You guessed it, take over the world, and of course that seems fine, but it's because of how intimidating he looks. I mean, I guess that's how he's supposed to get away with that, but when in actuality, when you look at him, he just looks weird, and his motivations are plans are bland and forgettable, much like the villain itself. I mean, I think they did this concept. I think DreamWorks did this concept a little bit better with now I can't remember his name from Kung Fu Panda, the villain in that one, Ian McShane's character. Now it's gonna bug me. Tai Lung. If Tai Lung had had a design similar to the villain in this movie, I think this movie would have been I think he would have been a lot better of a villain, but as he is, like, despite the fact he's got a great voice actor behind him, it's just a bland villain. I mean, besides that, Mulan, I think, is definitely a bigger stepping stone for Disney by making this strong female character who doesn't just sit around to be the damsel in distress and actually becomes a badass of a hero, someone like Aladdin or Hercules or any of the leading male heroes in the Disney universe. I mean, had the story had a little bit more twists and turns and the villain been a little bit better, this is probably would have been up there with Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King as one of their stronger movies, but it doesn't quite get there. But it is mostly enjoyable with some noticeable flaws there, but it's worth a watch. And really, if you saw Mulan 2 or the live-action remake that came after this, I've grown to have a little bit more of an appreciation towards it, honestly, more than I would have had before. But yeah, not a perfect movie overall, but I still think it's good enough to actually to really recommend it. The original Mulan, a good film, definitely could have been a whole lot better though. So with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Hav Plenty.
Ha. Yeah. For the 9-8.
Lee Plenty has never been lucky in love.
You don't have a date on New Year's Eve?
That's just the way things work out sometimes.
If you're not doing anything tonight, you want to come down here?
Sure, I'm there.
But this weekend he's about to go from nothing
You have lipstick in your teeth.
to plenty.
Are you making a pass at me?
That depends on what happens in the next 5 seconds.
5 seconds is over.
His moves aren't always smooth.
Real men can take a drink. That's how you know I'm cool.
The odds aren't always on his side.
You're thinking that I deserve better than Michael.
Hey, love 40, baby.
And answers aren't always easy.
I know you're in love with my sister.
How do you know that?
Why are you washing your hands with cheese?
Your sister just tried to kiss me.
Really?
Downstairs in the kitchen, we were just...
And hilarity ensues. Lee Plenty is a flailing wannabe writer, homeless and apartment sitting for his friend, the wealthy Haviland Savage, while she is off visiting family, and Lee jumps at the chance to see Haviland, who has secretly loved for years, when he's invited to her New Year's Eve party. But the night leads to romantic complications that also involve Hav's recording artist boyfriend, Michael Simmons, played by Hill Harper, and her best friend, Carolyn, and also her married sister, Lee. And it's just a film that's just... I feel like it's a film that's all over the place. It doesn't really have a whole lot there to really make it a noteworthy film overall. It's a pretty forgettable movie. I saw this one a long time ago, and I barely remember anything from it, quite honestly. It felt like the guy who was making this, Christopher Scott Sherrill, was trying to do what Spike Lee had done over 10 years prior to this, which She's Gotta Have It in School Days, trying to have that kind of a rise of his career. But I think Spike Lee did it much better than I think this guy did. I think he took a lot of inspiration from Spike Lee, but just the story overall isn't really enough to really push the movie towards something incredible or something amazing. It just feels like it's kind of just there. It just feels like kind of a generic movie, honestly, from what I remember from it. I don't remember it having too much of an impact on me personally, or seeing it and having any lasting memories about it. It just felt like it was there, it just came and went, and not a lot of people really talk about it, honestly. But that's just my remembrance of it. I don't think it's a good movie, but I don't know. Maybe it has a following to it that I'm just not seeing from it. So That's Hav Plenty, so let's go ahead and on to the next movie, and that is Henry Fool.
The bad influence. The man is a scoundrel. He's a fraud.
He's going to be the next president of the United States of America.
Keep dreaming, Warren. The guy's a Nazi.
Why do they torment me like this?
Who is this person? Do I know him? His name is Henry Fool.
So this is directed by Hal Hartley, and you see Parker Posey in there, but you also may notice that James Urbaniak, a.k.a. Dr. Venture from the Venture Brothers, is also in here as well. And set like previous Hartley films in the less affluent part of Long Island, it recounts how the lives of a fatherless family are overturned by a mysterious outsider, and how expectation and reality, again, conflict. That's pretty much all I know about this movie, because I have never seen it. I've never seen any film by Hal Hartley, so I really can't say for certain if this movie's any good or not, but it's got some pretty solid reviews, so maybe it is actually something good, but like I said, I don't really know too much about it. All I know, it's got Dr. Venture in it, and Parker Posey in it, because Parker Posey was in a lot of independent movies back then, before she eventually made her name well known, so yeah, not much more to say about that one, and not much more to say about the last movie either, because I have not seen that one. That is Dream for an Insomniac.
She used to call it a Fifi. I mean, isn't that nice?
I'm sorry, but that just does not work for me. Eddie Vedder is very much like Bono was a decade ago. Eddie Vedder will never change the spectacle that Bono has become.
Who's Eddie Vedder?
Scared of that.
Do you know how disgruntled workers shoot people in the post office? This race is next.
So the film follows a girl with insomnia who works at a coffee house. She has impossibly high standards for her love and fears she will never meet a worthy man. And then walks in a new employee, and they click until she discovers he has a girlfriend. Undaunted, she moves to L.A. with a friend sure that he will dump the girlfriend and follow her. She puts all her faith in fate and hopes for the best. You have Ione Skye in here, as well as Jennifer Aniston, and I think this was made in 1996. And eventually got a release here in 1998. That's what I think I see from here. But Ione Skye, Jennifer Aniston's in here too. But that's pretty much all I know about this one. I haven't seen this one, so I can't really say if it's any good. The producer of this is actually Christopher Lloyd, and not the Christopher Lloyd you're thinking of, not Doc Brown, but from Frasier and Modern Family. He's the producer on this one, so I don't know. Maybe it's got something in there. Plus, Jennifer Aniston's performance got praised for this, so I don't know, maybe it could be something, but that's pretty much all I know about Dream for an Insomniac. So with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and next time we'll take a look at 7 more movies, including Eddie Murphy once again in another Summer of '98 film, Dr. Dolittle. We also have George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez and Steven Soderbergh's Out of Sight, the re-release of the classic film Gone with the Wind. We also have Smoke Signals, Vincent Gallo and Christina Ricci in Buffalo 66, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and also Dear Jessie. So 7 movies to look at next time around, and we'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.